Hello and welcome to another Tuesday night live stream. I say another one, but we have actually haven't had one in 27 days, I think was the last time I live streamed. Hopefully you can all hear me. I, I actually upgraded to some software, one of those being Companion. It has a new little wizard. I accidentally cut off a row of my Stream Deck buttons and had to recreate them. Um, so yeah, we'll see how tonight goes. Um, I also decided to have a little bit of drink, so it could be an interesting live stream. We shall see. um, so let's get to the chat and see who's all here tonight. As usual, Grish is first. Some things don't change. Jeremy is in the house. Welcome in, Jeremy. Nils, welcome back. Craig, welcome. Tony, thanks for being here, Tony. Keith, welcome in, Keith. Keith just finished his live stream and is so happy you can join us, Keith. David is in the house. Welcome in, David. So I guess probably should start out with, what's been going on. Well, basically, I've been about 3 weeks ago. I was on a work trip, and so I was out of town. Came back. Been suffering with a lot of knee pain and general just kind of blah. So I, haven't been exactly been feeling the best recently. Been working a lot. I've done a couple of freelance gigs. Friday was the last one I did. And boy, did it set my knee off like crazy. So could barely walk on Saturday. It's better today, but it's still not the best. Welcome in, Jason. So yeah, I've just kind of been battling a lot of pain and whatnot, and then working a lot. So that's why I haven't really been here. But hopefully, as things calm down, end of the year, it comes upon us. It gets colder outside. We can resume more regular live streams. Did I say morning? I've been having some wine, so maybe that's that's why. I didn't. Sorry if I said morning. I don't intend this to be a very long live stream. I just kind of wanted to get back in the swing of it, update you guys on where I've been, what's been going on, and kind of wanted to just talk about a topic of tonight, which is who can you trust? Without getting into a lot of details, basically, some changes are happening. People are putting some things in the cloud. I don't know if I trust the cloud. I don't really trust the cloud necessarily. I think you're putting your eggs in someone else's basket. You become beholden to them. You don't own anything. You don't have control over it. And so basically, the question becomes is who can you trust? And this idea of who can you trust was also prompted a little bit by Unify's announcement that they've released a NAS. And the question became up in our little Signal group, basically, would you buy a Unify NAS? Can you trust it? And we're kind of two sides as usual. There's yes, it probably works, but do you want to put your eggs in a new product, and your eggs meaning your data, whatever, your trust, in something that's brand new from a company that's never done a NAS before? This question kind of came up when the Ugreen NAS came out too. Like, hey, they're brand new. The product looks cool, but do you trust it? And so the question is, do you trust, who do you trust? And Unify has done a great job of proving that they can do a lot of products. I have a Unify access point here. It's proven to be pretty reliable. I have a Unify, I don't know where it is, but the little 4-port or 5-port mini switch, proven to be reliable. Ubiquiti gear, the wireless gear we've done I've done a 10-mile range, a link on that thing. It's proven to be very reliable. So I trust Ubiquiti on a lot of things, but I don't always trust them with new products. And I don't know that I trust them with a NAS. Does it work? Probably works. Will it have bugs? Of course it will. Rode, Rode just released their new streamer video, or whatever, Rode streamer video. Looks like a great product, but I'm hearing about some firmware issues. So, you know, would you trust it? What is your backup plan? So I guess what I'm saying is when you come out with a new product, or when you have a new thing, or you trust something like the cloud, what is your backup plan? As a broadcaster, I have lots of backup plans in place. Alternative power, alternative links, alternative internet. What is your backup plan? If you're a small business, can you afford to have a backup plan? You better. You better make it a priority, or else you may not have a small business for very long. So that's just kind of like my thoughts about kind of where the stream's going. I see chat's pretty busy, so I'm going to jump back in and see what you guys are saying. So David's talking to Tony. Tony says that bottle was full. The single pin. Yeah, it wasn't full. It definitely was more than this, but it wasn't full. David says he does not trust the cloud. Grish says I trust the cloud, but only with my encrypted backups. So yeah, by that sentence, there's a lack of trust. I mean, you're encrypting your stuff. You're not trusting them with the keys, which I agree with. Just pointing out the fact that, there's a trust, but there's not a trust there. Synology has a reliable track record. Curious if Ugreen will stand the long term. Yeah, I'm curious too. I believe several of you, at least one of you, I know, has the Ugreen NAS, and so far it's been, as far as I know, reliable. I'm actually considering, I think I might get the Ugreen NAS. I definitely, need to get a NAS as opposed to my desktop solutions that I hang on the wall. And I don't want to spend $1,000 for the True NAS Mini X, or what they call it, the $1,000 one. The Ugreen NAS with the 4 hard drive bays looks great. Speaking of trust, I trust the TrueNAS software, but I don't want to buy their hardware because it's twice as expensive. So, and I could go with Synology, but I really rather just go with the company I've already used and I already trust their software. pfSense, I trust their software, so that's what I go with here. Jason's Lab says, never trust anyone with new products. Yes, I would always agree with that one. Wait for things to develop a little bit and go with version, firmware version 0.01 as opposed to 0.00. Jeremy's here saying hello. Grish says he's used his Rodecaster video for the first time. I'm assuming you mean at church? Grish, the only bug I've heard of, I think, was on Aaron Parecki's forum, Discord channel, or if you will. And basically it was saying that after like a half hour of streaming, it would just crash. I don't remember I think it was a specific frame rate? I forget exactly, but there was a bug, and someone else had confirmed that they had the same bug. Boy, I don't remember what the bug was, but it had to involve. I think it was involving streaming. David says, I take offsite backup with a relatively every month. That's good. I don't know where I put it. My little Raspberry Pi NAS that I was going to use as my offsite backup decided to crash and burn. I plugged it in there today and it doesn't do anything. Not quite sure why. So I don't trust that. That's for sure. um, because it's proven to be just not reliable, which is, of course, bad for an offsite solution. Jeremy points out, it all depends what you mean by cloud. Yeah, it's yeah. Um, I also think software defined networking is a buzzword. I don't really know what that means. But yes, so when I use in my example earlier, we're moving to an off-site internet-based service, and I just don't like it. I don't want to trust the internet um, because reasons. Um, and to basically summarize, the the multiple connections we have, they go the same route for a little bit, like they follow the same path. So they're not truly diverse paths, if you will. So therefore, I have a trouble trusting them because they didn't set them up the way I wanted to set them up. So therefore, they're not truly diverse. And so I have a hard time trusting something that's not diverse, that's not redundant. And if you put your stuff in someone else's computer, someone else's world, and you're paying them, then you're dependent upon them to be secure. You're paying them to be dependable, always there. And no offense, Amazon, but I've seen you go down before. So um, you're not always there. And so Facebook wasn't always there. It's been gone down. YouTube's gone down. Yeah, they've been short interruptions, but if you're trusting your business to on these platforms and they go down, do you get a check for that downtime? I mean, what does that do to your viewers or your clients? Or, you know, I can only imagine if you're in surgery and you're trusting the cloud and all of a sudden the cloud goes down and that robotic arm stops moving because it's controlled via the internet, that's going to be a bad day for you. um, I can think of lots of scenarios where, you go to the ATM and you can't withdraw money because the cloud's down. Things like that just makes me really nervous. And I know, people will say, well, that's 99% of the time it's there. True. But that 1% that's not there, what does that cost? What does that do to you? Um, so Tony says, unified networking gear has been solid for me for the last 7 years. Um, yeah, and this is what we talked about in our Signal chat earlier. Is the more the companies diversify, unless they add equal number of staff, which is unlikely, then you start stretching your resources thinner and thinner and thinner. And does that make your products better? Not usually. um, if Unify went out and got a whole brand new NAS team, and that's their job is to make the NAS, then maybe quality won't suffer. But if they had to pull people off of other parts to make that NAS work, and there's not a lot of commonality, then things will suffer. It looks like they're using the same hardware. They just made some new software for their NAS. And so maybe the hardware team's the same, which would be good. But I still just kind of question. It should make you question, like, who can I trust? What do I trust? What gear do I trust? That kind of thing. So Jeremy says he would trust a virtual private server more than a software as a service product. I would agree. I like things that I have control of and I own. And you know, as much as like I said, the internet may go down. The internet may get attacked. A backhoe could cut your fiber line or your internet surface. What does that do to you? Can you take credit card transactions? Can you live in a world without the internet? More and more, this thing doesn't work. I mean, and I'm not even joking. Like more and more, this thing's dropping phone calls. There are spots where I can't use it. Like these things were gonna be the greatest things in the world, and they're gonna be dependable, and they're always just gonna work. And more, they don't. And this isn't a joke. This isn't hyperbole. This thing works less and less, it seems, every week. Because the company Verizon in this area just doesn't seem to care anymore because it just gets worse. And this is not a brand new, it's a Pixel 7, and it's a relatively brand new Pixel 7. And yet, today, I dropped a phone call on a major interstate. Was talking to my wife, and all of a sudden, doop, gone. Grabbed my phone briefly, said no reception. Major interstate. Never should have lost reception, period. And yet, I can't trust this now to do what it's supposed to do. Grish says, the thing is, I love storage and NAS device. I just have a different problem now. I don't have enough, I have not enough to store. Oh boy. Who's the guy on YouTube with the petabyte storage in his basement? It's like Grish is going to be that person here soon. Build your own NAS, buy a T340 with 8 bays, throw in some good RAM and drive, and you're set. 10%, probably about $500. Yeah, but I do like the form factor. I don't have a rack to put it in. So, not opposed to that. I just don't have a rack to put it in. Hold on a second. Sorry about that. Okay. Looks like yep, I'm back. Okay. David says, you can determine my trust level by knowing that I'm a New Yorker. I am really far behind. I'm sorry about this, guys. You need to store stuff on your NAS, so you upped your video recordings to 4K. Well, that's one way to fill up a NAS. Tony is the guy who I referenced having a Ugreen NAS. Hardware's great. Results are surprising. I would love to see a results video. That sounds like a video that would do very, very well. Especially, I think it'd do very well. I'll just say that. This must have been referencing the cloud. Yeah, Offsite's great. I mean, SneakerNet is great if you can do it. I often forget to do it. When I had a SneakerNet backup, I often just didn't do it. So that's on me. But one of those things where it was a flawed plan because I just didn't do it. Left the money drawer open? Wow. Grish also has a Ugreen. Oh, but the KVM. Did you get a discount coupon for telling them? Oh no, I mean, I can't imagine they would. We were discussing earlier. Sorry, there's a bug flying around me. We were discussing earlier in that Signal chat. Publicly traded company, bottom line. I can't imagine they went and invested in a whole new NAS team. I know if they did, the NAS team's new working, new. Where do they come from? Did they used to work for Synology? Did they used to work for a storage company? Like, that begs a different set of questions. My impression of the UniFi NAS was not as positive from a software and capabilities. I honestly haven't even really paid attention to what it can do. I just saw some overview videos, and knowing what I know about UniFi, I kind of, I guess I deduced some of the stuff that ooh, and I'm feeling this, by the way. Ooh. I kind of just deduced what I wanted out of it. I wasn't about to watch 7 videos that were all released within like an hour of each other, who are all ironically about 8 minutes in length, which I hear from Jeremy is the YouTube sweet spot these days. So I've noticed more and more videos being in the 8 to 9 minute range. And so, yeah, I'm just not about to go down that rabbit hole watching the same video over and over again. Jeremy says, the main thing I've hosted in the cloud is an instance of Fresh RSS. Yeah, and I'm sure that's something that if it went down, wouldn't break. I mean, it might upset you, but it wouldn't break your day. It wouldn't change your job. It wouldn't cost you money. So, Keith's going to buy a cash register and some real coins. Damn bug. Tony says to David, she said she knew that I was good friends with the owner, so she wasn't worried. To reference a joke I made earlier, you look like a kind old man. So maybe that was also part of it. Sorry, I just inside joke. For a true NAS on a budget, you should build your own based on an HP workstation. Well, like I said, I kind of wanted, the Ugreen form factor of having a small little box that wasn't like overly powerful. And I really wanted the hot swap drives because it's a NAS. And so I'd love to have the ability to just swap a drive and have it not consume a lot of power, and also just take a small form factor, because currently my NAS is on my NAS is on the wall, and it takes up a lot of space in that wall. And none of them are hot swappable. So like I really wanted a hot swap situation. I could look at maybe some used workstations, and go from there. But I was actually looking at, unfortunately I have to take this back, but this is a vMix computer that the PCI card on it broke. Oops, let me take this down. So this PCI card stopped working, so none of the expansion ports, these are all dead. And but the case is kind of nice. And so I was actually kind of thinking, and the computer still works, it's just the expansion port doesn't. But unfortunately, they want that back. So I have to package this all back up and take it back to them. But I was contemplating, could I put a drive cage in there and use this? Because I'm pretty sure this one has, this has 4 SATA ports on it, so this would have been perfect. But they want it back, so they'll get it back. But thank you for the suggestion. We'll keep that in mind. David's son it works in the sheriff's office and is paranoid. Some paranoia I think is good. Overly paranoid is not so good. Yeah, it's whether you're paranoid enough. Well, if you're being paid to be paranoid, that's also different than if you're just paranoid on your own. So yeah, so basically, one of the things I was just kind of wanting to talk about is, in this kind of comes along too of like one of the things I did last week at work was we did a production, and it was a special production, not in the building, and basically it was like, hey, we have to do this special broadcast. It's this, and this. You know, how can you make that happen for me? And they trusted me to do it. I came up with a solution. It would cost us some money, but I knew that if I followed through and stuck with the solution that I came up with, that we would have we'd have a good production. And so what I did is I rented a production truck, and the person who came along with that production truck, helped make sure our debate that we had was successful, and the debate was flawless. There was no technical issues whatsoever, at least on our end. And so, I trusted somebody else to do a job, and I knew that they would deliver on that job, and they did. And so, it's kind of interesting as I get older. I find that I don't trust some people as much as I want to, and I trust others more. And so I kind of pick and choose, and uh, it's easier to identify the warning the warning signs. And this goes both at work and personal. Um, there's been some issues recently, and the person made it very clear for a long time that they were maybe not the most trustworthy person in the world, and it turns out they weren't. And so trust is a big thing, and the world needs more of it. People need to be able to trust each other and trust things that they see and hear, um, and not just go psycho conspiracy theory on everything. Um, but and I don't want to get political. I'm just saying that people need to, trust that they in things, and not just hate everything, and not just say, well, that's untrustworthy. I don't believe that. Okay, well, why don't you believe it? Um, did someone do something to you to prove that they're not trustworthy? Did a company fail to deliver? Um, and often I find that if a company failed to deliver, it probably isn't the company so much as a certain individual at that company. I've had experience where a certain tech support person or a certain salesperson failed to deliver, and while I thought it was the company's problem, it actually was the salesperson or the tech support tech. And when I brought it up to their bosses, there was two instances that I'm referring to. One was sales, one was tech. I said, "Hey, boss man, there's a problem here." I got a very different response than I did with that particular individual. And here I wanted to blame the company. I wanted to say, "You're full of crap. I'm not using you anymore." And uh, so I pushed harder, and I said, "We're going to get this, let's go above you, and I'm going to go to your boss." And then got a different response. And then in the one case of the salesperson, um, the installer came out, and the installer is a great guy who I trust. He answers his phone after hours when he shouldn't, but he says that he was going to make sure I was a happy client. And so what started out as a bad sales experience has turned into a great installer experience. And so that's changed my opinion of that company. Now, I still don't trust the upper management there, but at least I know the people who are doing the job are doing it correctly. And that's what matters to me, because I want my product to be installed the correct way and to work. And so It's trust. It's a very funny thing, and it comes and goes. I know you know your pain threshold for the day, your tolerance, how much sleep how much sleep you got last night. That plays a role into it, obviously. Um, but yeah, so it's one of those things where it's interesting as life goes on, and you learn more and more. um, Trust is one of those things you learn more and more about as life goes on. And this is not a philosophy channel. I'm just just throwing it out there. I originally wanted a NAS that was hot swappable. However, with two NAS systems, I only have one. I only have I have only had to change a bad drive twice. The NAS software just went with the yellow mode. True. I mean, I don't have to have a hot swap device, but I think the Ugreen hardware allows that, and the smaller compact form factor that I'm looking at would allow me to have a hot swap device. And frankly, these drives are old, and so I'm waiting for them to fail. um, so if when they fail, it is easier to change them out. That's kind of what I'm going for. But yes, to your next point, power consumption is one that I am interested in. My power bill has definitely went up in the last couple months. I mean, obviously it's been warmer outside, summertime. There's a pool 10 feet from me over there. Um, but I just feel like my server room has changed a little bit. There's more devices in there, and I feel like it's impacting my power bill a little bit, at least so that I'm starting to notice it. So if I can fix the power bill or lower it a little bit, I'm going to try to do that. Gris says, wish I could say the same. I got garage doors from my house and it took almost 2 years to deliver and complete. Twice they screwed up. Well, that's definitely not good. Yes, please hit like on this stream. Oh, I never gave the update. I usually give an update on where we stand as a channel. And the answer is not very good. 13 concurrent viewers, 5 likes. Let's get those likes up. But as a channel, I got to go back to the other page. Where is... So I'm currently at 1,717 subscribers. That is up 16 in the last 28 days, so that's slowed down a little bit. What is both surprisingly shocking and also not shocking at the same time is my watch hours have plummeted to 2,460. So not streaming in 27 days definitely impacted that. What I find interesting is I get those little YouTube things about what people are coming to your channel for. All 3 are vMix. People are coming to my channel for vMix. And I have not done a vMix video in a long time. So that actually is a topic I want to discuss. I do need to, or I should say, I am thinking about kind of going back to more kind of vMix, more Rivendell content, stuff that people, new people are looking for. Rivendell is obviously the easiest one for me to do, and so I may jump into that here soon. vMix gets me views, and it's going to be a topic that I'll be doing a lot more. I'll be learning a lot more about at work, and so it could be good to relate it to this channel. So let me know if you're interested in either one of those. This is definitely my group of regular people, and if you guys aren't interested in either one of those topics, then I might shy away from them. But if you guys are interested in hearing more about vMix or Rivendell, please let me know. I would love to know what the audience thinks, if you're watching this after the fact, please leave a comment. I would love to know your feedback because it's important to me that I do streams that people want to watch and engage with. And so your opinion matters. Sales guy in my case told me something. Oh, geez, that's not good. Well, so the sales guy in my case told me some stuff too, and so basically came down to in a meeting he told me that I had my facts wrong, and I didn't have my facts wrong. So I'm gonna leave it at that. But basically, yeah. Don't punch unless you're able to hit. I'm just going to say that. Alonzo, welcome in. Nils says, let's build a VMix PC next week. Well, I have like a card for it. Although I could, like I said, the motherboard still works. I could take the motherboard out of this PC because actually it's the case that's the problem. It won't line up with the PCI slot. So I could actually maybe just next week is a proof of concept, if you will. Play with that, and I'll be right back. All right, so Tony says put up a poll. Can I do a poll in here? Start a poll. All right, so let's do a poll. Let's see what happens. Keith did several polls on his last stream, so now we're going to do a poll. Nils says, I am super interested in vMix. I mostly use dedicated hardware, but I often think, could I accomplish this all with just a PC? This is why I stopped working in sales support. I could see that. So Nils, this is interesting because vMix is partly involved in the thing that I can't talk about. But basically, vMix, is a great product, but I've run into situations before where I couldn't trust it, and it died during a game, it died before a game. I once tried to use it for a parade, and in our rehearsals, in our whatever, like leading up to it for a week, everything worked fine. Literally for a week and a half, we were setting up for it. Everything worked fine. The day of the parade, we went to plug the audio board in, and the computer would not see the audio board. Didn't matter what port we plugged it into, didn't matter if we rebooted the computer, rebooted the audio board, the computer would not see our audio board. And we were minutes, actually I think maybe even seconds away from the start of the parade. And we had to go with a different solution, and it was not pretty. It sounded like crap for about 2 minutes. But we finally figured something else out, and the audio board never did work. I could never figure out why for a week and a half the audio board would work with vMix, and then all of a sudden on the day of the parade it wouldn't. And this is why I and others have a distrust of software products. They're not the be all end all. Like, I'm not saying hardware is either necessarily, but At least I feel like with hardware, it works more often than it doesn't. And software kind of feels 50-50, 60-40. Like it works, but it seems like it fails more often than hardware does. Um, so, so far, 6 votes, all yes. Overwhelming yes. So Jason's back. Joe's here. Welcome in. Ooh, back at 7 a.m. Ouch. You have to let me know and signal what you're working on. I'm curious. Yeah, software gremlins have. I mean, when it comes to that window, and yes, to answer Jeremy, answer your question. Yes, vMix is Windows only. It probably was a Windows issue. I'm not saying it wasn't, but since vMix has to run on Windows, you have to deal with all of Windows issues and garbage as well. So it doesn't really matter if it was a Windows issue or a vMix issue. The issue is those are one and the same. I have to use both, and so if there's a Windows issue, then therefore it screws the product. And in this case, it did. The following year for the parade, we went with a completely different route. We went with a production truck, dedicated audio board, dedicated switcher, dedicated graphics, playback, all the stuff. And the reviews and the broadcast were immensely better. So, you know, it showed. People noticed. So it's one of those things where it's like, I have a lot of examples of why vMix doesn't do the job correctly. And I like to think that I'm a pretty competent engineer. Like it wasn't just me being, oh, it doesn't work. Like Windows updates were turned off. This was turned off. This was, like we had kind of went through the PCE. So there was no reason why it should be happening. And yet here it was. Um, and the other thing is, and I think I talked about this before, um, upgrades. I mean, when you know, you're prompted to do updates constantly with vMix and other products. And I've had it where I did an update thinking I was doing the correct thing, and I did an update and it killed a feature or it changed a feature that I relied on heavily. It was the replay feature, and so instead of doing the behavior that I expected it to do and it had done for years, it had changed the way replay worked. And for half a football game, we didn't have replay because I couldn't figure out how to make it work. That's also a problem when you're changing software around and things just change. Then it creates a world where you kind of learn to not trust it so much. Like I said earlier, the companion, the companion did an update and I lost a row of buttons because I stupidly wasn't counting correctly. And I thought it had 6 buttons and I only had 5. And so I thought I had 5 and it put down, yeah, I thought I had 6. So I put down, whatever it was, and it cut a row of buttons off. So anyway, yes, David did put in, David put a lot of years in. Yeah, no, I mean, having a backup or having a restore point, obviously would be a good thing. Um, I guess I would personally say having a backup image would probably be good. Um, I I haven't really seen Windows restore points work very well unless they're virtual machines and they're snapshots. So if I was using vMix in a mission critical situation, then yeah, I would probably do it a much more deliberate, much more standardized monthly backups. Using Clonezilla or something, because I would definitely need to go. I would definitely need to have a restore point where I could go back where I knew it worked, and nothing else was going to impact that, whether it was CrowdStrike, hard drive failure, my own doing, whatever. Would need to have a on the shelf, like, hey, pull off this USB key and boot this image, and it'll work. Because if it's mission critical, it has to work. There isn't this option of let me go back and rebuild it for the next 12 hours while we, are off the air or whatever it is. So, David says he still feels guilty, just a little bit. David says you can hold a live stream. Is this the one that you're gonna go off about, or did you can that idea about going off on your former employer? Craig F says he votes for more Rivendell content. How is the poll doing? 7 votes, all yes. I forget. I don't know, Craig, if I know where you're from, but a low power FM would require a nonprofit entity with a board of directors, if I'm not mistaken. So good luck with that. I mean, you could do it. You could have your friends and family be your board of directors. But yes, I've often thought it'd be kind of cool to have a radio station. Well, that's not cool. I mean, that your old employer implied that you had something to do with it. Um, that's definitely not cool. They claimed it concerned one of your accounts. Oh, your old boss. Ooh. That's interesting. Very interesting. Alrighty, well, I'm going to end the poll because it's overwhelmingly positive. So, yes, I guess I will do more Rivendell and vMix content. So, one of the things that vMix, or sorry, getting confused. One of the things that Rivendell, I just discovered the other day, apparently there's a web front end for it. Like, someone built a web page that can control it, which sounds interesting. Not sure I have a use case for that, but it could be interesting to try it at least. Doesn't seem like it's too hard to install, so that may be a live stream coming up soon, is how to install a front end. Grish says, yes, I forgot to vote. So like I said, maybe I pull this thing apart next week and we try vMix on it, because like I said, I do have cards here that are of questionable, that PCI expansion thing died, so we don't know if the cards died with it, or if the cards are fine and it was just a PCI thing. We just don't know. So I might do a vMix stream with this, might do a Rivendell stream with the web front end. As far as I'm concerned, schedule-wise, I do believe and we're up to 10 likes, so thank you very much. 13 viewers still and 10 likes. Let me check my calendar real quick. It does look like I will be around for the next couple weeks. So Yeah, I'm gonna make those plans. We'll go with that. We'll go with the vMix stream, and then we'll go with the Rivendell stream. And one thing I would like to get back to is my whole FFmpeg um, kind of play out idea that I talked about a while ago that we actually did build, kind of start, at least start building on the channel. Um, Always liked that kind of content, although I did lose my physical. I guess I was using the virtual one. Never mind. I was gonna say I lost the physical computer on the ground, but that was prior to that. And I will say my the PCI pass through um, into a virtual machine with Blackmagic. That's what does the chat here. So it's been working. I do find myself needing to reboot the machine every once in a while, but that's not the end of the world. So I know I had a little bit of issues getting that to work at first, but it's been pretty reliable on the last couple updates of Zen Orchestra and XCPNG, which for those who are interested, I'm still running and I still think it's great. Too short, easily guessed passwords. That's never good. Oh boy, Nils. They do it. I believe you can rent a vMix in a VPS with a graphics card. Um, I don't know that I want to try that. um, and see, that was one of the things too that I was talking about for vMix is, you know, you got to get physical inputs. You don't have to, I guess, but I mean, chances are you're going to be plugging physical things in, and so if you only got a four input card like this, or even if you go up to an eight input card with the mini BNCs, which if you've ever seen a mini BNC, um, these things are like these are just bad. I mean, I get why they do them, but they just suck because you can't use your fingers. Like, get the tool. They make a tool for plugging these things in. If you're gonna use the mini BNCs, um, get the tool. But what I was saying is this has eight inputs, that has four inputs. You know, how many inputs can a computer actually handle? Is a good question. And getting things to the cloud, that requires a lot more network activity, network upload speeds, which I don't have here, and I don't think everybody does necessarily. Then you gotta have encoders, and then you gotta have boxes, and boxes, are more points of failure, and you can go down that whole road of all that kind of stuff. So, um, point being, I just feel like there are certain things that should be on premise that work better on premise, that are more reliable on premise. And I just think there's things that you should own and that you shouldn't rely on someone else to do, because what I just hear today that the bag company 31, is it 31? I think it's 31. The company just announced they're closing. They're done as of the end of the year. Like, so if you don't own the software, if you don't own the platform, then what's to say the company that you're using doesn't just shut down and then destroy your business? I don't know. I kind of wish I wish I could get more into what I'm explaining. I'm talking around. um, Maybe someday I will, but just not yet. So Joe says it's good to see you live. Yeah, it's been interesting. I'm glad to be back. Like I said, I should be back more. I hope to be back more regularly. My voice is definitely not liking this so far. I need to put that down. Grish says he also would like to see more virtual machine streams or videos. I mean, I guess I could run vMix on my virtual server, but I'd have a hard time getting video into. I guess, although no, not necessarily. I could do PCI pass through to a vMix machine. That's kind of what I built that PC for, or that server for. Well, that's never a good thing. Let me guess. Frontier, or was it Sprint? No, it's not Sprint. It's CenturyLink. Is that what you guys use up there for fiber? Or Frontier? I forget what you guys use. Yeah, so David, this is actually an interesting thing. So when this PC failed, there's this PCI expansion card, and it plugs in here, and it brings down the PCI bus, like so. They had these cards plugged in here along with the video card, and it seemed to work fine. And they had, I don't know, 7 or 8 video cables plugged in, and they don't seem to think there's a correlation, but it seemed like they did more inputs than they ever had, and then all of a sudden they had a problem. I don't think that simply plugging video cables in would cause a PCI bus issue, because the whole card is already plugged in. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like if you're plugging the card in and the card's working, that simply plugging in more video cables shouldn't tax the PCI bus. Maybe I'm wrong. It feels weird. To me personally, I feel like that flimsy flex connector that they use was just finally went bad. And I did try to find on the internet a place to buy the same thing, and the company that made it seems to make a lot of add-on cards or a lot of add-on modules, except this one. They don't make this one or even sell it anymore. So that lens tends that makes me believe that they know this product in particular was bad. Again, I'm just assuming here, but it makes me interested in, wow, I need to seriously not do that before a stream. So the 4 input card is different than the 8 input card. They are definitely, one is definitely 8x and one's a 4x. God, I'm not even sure anymore. I actually haven't built a PC in like a long time. I mean, like pre-COVID was the last time I actually built a PC with like ordered parts. And I'm pretty sure it was like a year or two before COVID. So I actually haven't built a PC in quite some time. Joe says we use Frontier and Comcast. Weren't you on something else at one point? Maybe I'm confusing two things. I've been in similar situations where clients have opted to pay monthly fees instead of a high initial investment. Yeah, OpEx versus CapEx is always an interesting discussion. And even vMix now, I believe they switched to a rentals agreement where you have to pay like $50 a month for your software to work. And if you buy the one-time license, then you never get updates, which you may not need updates, but also you kind of want updates because they're constantly adding new features. So it's like, and finding security issues, I guess, so, or stability issues. So, you know, you want to pay that $50 a month or whatever it is to get that. I wouldn't say I'm drunk. No, I'm just kind of feeling it. The fiber rollout. So yes, so for those who don't know, we're actually getting fiber here. The village made a deal with one of the fiber providers around here, and gave them access to all the utility poles and the right of ways and all that stuff. And over the last 3 to 4 weeks ish, somewhere in there, they've been running fiber, and there's a new fiber vault right out back. They have run the conduits in the ground and are putting. Well, today they were doing landscaping around the fiber vaults. They were putting grass seed and hay down. So all the fiber vaults are now sealed, like they're closed up. There's no more exposed conduit, like they were like before. No ETA on when I can actually order it. I've emailed sales, have never heard back. I'm going to be switching to it because it's going to be faster, download, symmetrical upload, cheaper, and they have a TV plan, which will be cheaper, and have all the channels, if not more, than I'm currently paying for. The only thing I don't know about the TV plan is what they do for a DVR. I'm assuming there's a DVR option. I just haven't seen it. But if my math is correct, I should be able to save $65 a month, get 500 megabit symmetrical internet, and the same amount of TV channels I have now. And yes, we do watch TV. We DVR a lot of shows. My wife constantly watches the Hallmark Channel, the Lifetime Channel. We watch On Patrol live on Fridays and Saturdays. That's on the Reels channel. I watch sports. So, yes, we still do watch TV, for those wondering. But yes, believe me, the minute I can get fiber in here. Oh, and the other question I had for fiber was, and I don't have an answer for it yet, and Bob Carpenter, who I haven't seen in a while, Bob Carpenter did ask if the fiber company will let me bring in, like, if I have to use their fiber converter or fiber modem, or if I can just plug their fiber directly into my pfSense box, which I would love to know the answer to that question, because not that that'll make or break necessarily in the deal, because I still think it'd be a good deal. But I am interested to know if I need to use their box, or if I have to go to a NAT situation, a double NAT situation. Don't know yet. So I'm hoping I can just plug their fiber directly into my pfSense box, and voila. David says, that looks like a 4X PCI card. The slot you showed is a X16. Yes, it is. The expansion cable is definitely 16. I think the typical reaction to a lack of PCI bandwidth is the last number of input streams will be shown. That would make sense. When this thing died, it just died. Like, there was the video card didn't want to work. The capture cards were not seen by Windows. When I unplugged it, the Windows PC part, and the onboard video worked great. It just, nothing else works. Nothing on the expansion slots work. Go NetSpeed. I knew there was another company. That's what it was. I was trying to think if there was a a third one up there you were talking about. Or maybe it was Lon Seibin who was talking about it. One of you guys talked about it. Getting the PCI lanes is critical. You get updates for 2 years, I think, and then a renewal fee is $50. See, I thought you had to like pay the full price again. Maybe I could be wrong. What will the 1 gig do that the 500 gig won't, or 500 meg won't do? Like, nothing. If you have 40 gig or 50, 100 gig, get multiple inputs via 2110. That would be very expensive. My in-laws are having fiber run to their house. Unfortunately, they hit a water main. Ooh, good. Yeah, my lawn is flagged up to like, yeah, it's got flags on 3 sides of the yard. Like everywhere there's flags. The utility markers. David says he want to build up a medium power digital lab. That sounds interesting. I would hope it would be straight to the box. Joe says both of his are straight into it. $60 for 1 year. Okay. That is true. For productions, that's nothing. Tony also goes directly. Okay, good. $32 slots. Wow. I feel like it's more than $5 here. What is it? They claim, I don't know if I'll be able to get this or not, but the fiber company claims to offer 2 gig services in select areas. So here, the 200 meg plan is $60. The 500 meg plan is $70. To get the gig plan, it's $90. So it's $20 more a month to get gig. And if you go to the gig plan, it says it's a managed router. If you go with the 500 meg plan, there is no router. So, and then the 2 gig plan is $120. So you got 60, 70, 90, 120, and the gig or higher plans include a managed router. So that makes me almost not want them because then I have to use their router, or these are questions I don't know. So the 2 gig is a good price. That I agree with. If I needed, I mean, if I was, because I mean, I already pay $87 a month for internet, so I'm already at the gig plan. To go 2 gig for $30 more is not that much more, but again, that managed router line makes me worried. And Grish knows me. There's little to no benefit in going any higher than what I'm currently selected to go higher, because 500 to gig is there's no improvement there for me. Like there's no way I'm going to saturate even 500 megs. So the gig to me just seems worthless. The 200 meg plan would actually probably be okay, but it's only $10 more to go up to 500 megs, and it's the highest plan without the managed router. So, um, yeah, yeah, and Jeremy, like I'm with Jeremy, like 500 megs symmetrical, I would be thrilled. I can't wait to have it. So it's only $10 difference there. Okay. Oh no, trust me, I'm aware. I'm Joe wants to have the highest everything. So Joe 4K, 2 gig, whatever it is. And that's true. Nils does point out you can stream 4K in about 30 megs or less. So any plan I were to get would allow me to do that. Um, Joe does probably want to watch me in 4K on his 65-inch television. I don't think that's a joke. I think he actually does want to do that. Not quite sure why, but he does apparently. So here's the thing, and this is one of those things where I could tell you from experience. We have 1 gig internet at work. We do not saturate 1 gig internet at work. There are 110 people in theory in the building or that work there. So there's anywhere between 50 to 60 people in the building at a time. And we upload video, we download video constantly. If we're not saturating a 1 gig internet connection at a TV station, then you're not doing that at home either. Period. Yes, I know Joe is probably uploading files to the cloud. That's a different scenario than streaming television at your house or watching YouTube. Like, most people aren't transferring their entire 4K footage to the cloud every night like Joe does. So, yes, most people, 99.9% of people, do not need gigabit internet at their house. Period. Joe being the 0.1% who does. Oops, I went way too high. Yes, Joe's the only one who saturated his connection. We're not attacking you, Joe. We're just pointing out the fact that you're special. Oh no, that's interesting. I could just send Joe a special feed. There's a whole community focused on eliminating residential ISP. I saw somebody do a video on that. Who just did a video on that recently about? Oh, the guy who's starting, like, building his own router. Like, what is his name? I just saw this video like recently. Tony says when he left his job, they had 500 meg symmetrical. We had 800 students online. I believe it. I 100% believe it. No comment. Yeah, those extra 10 lines are going to make a big difference. Yes, I believe that Tom Tomas or whatever. I believe that's the guy's name. Although Digiblur sounds familiar too. I think Tomas is the guy who's doing the router, right? Who's like making his own router company or whatever it is and has investors and just published like a weekly update. Who is that guy? Is it Digiblur? No, that's not who I was thinking of. In fact, I'm pretty sure I've never seen this. Oh no, I did. It shows that I've watched his video on how to bypass the fiber thing. So yeah, so I have seen Digiblur's SFP Plus module thing. Um, Thomas. Yes, Tomas is the guy I'm thinking of. Um, he's the one starting his own router company, which you probably put in the comments before, but I already just left. Yeah, so I have seen Digiblur's video on it. Does a Ferrari always drive at 120? My Ford can drive at 120. Thanks, Tony. Glad you could make it live too. And when I was like 17 years old, my dad's Dodge Ram did 115. Don't ask me how I know that. Check out Alex from KTZ Systems. KTZ Systems. I have seen this guy before too, yes. I have not seen his latest video, but I will add to my watch list now because that looks interesting. Okay, 190. Yeah, I'm sure Ferrari does that too. Somebody does custom shit. That's what that we were just talking about. There's someone there's doing this. There's some people doing that now. Yeah, I could believe that. No, like at home, yeah, I highly doubt you ever saturate a gig at home. Um, I understand doing it at the office completely. Alex is great. I think I listened to the hosted show for a while and then stopped. But anyway, I think I'm gonna get going. My eyes are starting to water. I don't know why. Um, but Anyway, thank you all for being here. I truly appreciate it. I hope you all enjoyed it. Hopefully, it wasn't too crazy. I don't usually drink wine, but I decided to tonight, and so hopefully, it wasn't too off the wall. Um, like I said, probably do some sort of VMix Rivendell stream next week. Who knows? Probably VMix because it's sitting here next to me and I need to get it returned. But then I need to figure out if these cards are good or not. So probably do that next week. Hopefully you'll be back. Like I said, I'm gonna stick with Tuesdays for now because of Monday Night Football. But I'll probably go back as soon as the season's over. So thank you all. Hope you all have a good night. Catch you later.